So today we're going to talk about a fascinating subject. This is like one of those cutting edge subjects. We are learning as we go on, and it's the topic of inflammation. So as we're going to be learning today, your speed of aging, your speed of developing chronic disease is directly related to something called inflammation. This is actually a two-part lecture. So tonight we're going to see the first part. Tomorrow we're going to see the second part of this lecture. Now, this is what we see. It's like a tree. In a tree, we see the outside. How come some people age in a healthy way, in a strong way, and so forth? At the same time, other people that have the same age, they age faster and so forth. Well, it's just like a tree. We're seeing just the outside, but many times we don't see the roots. And those roots are, in a big sense, what will determine in what way that tree is going to go. Will it be strong and so forth, or will it be weaker and sick? And this is the reality of the situation. We need to understand that our choices have consequences. You find that tree, by the way, on my Twitter account. You can go there and find it if you want to get the original picture. So let me tell you my story, how I got into this lifestyle medicine. I originally studied computer science. This was back in the 1990s, where there was few people talking about computers, And as I was in my last semester, my close friends decided to start running, so I started running with them. But it ended up being that I was always the last place among my friends. And I said, this is not right. I need to do something to improve my time. This is not good. So what I did, I went to the library of the university to start learning what are the people that are winning the race, those Ethiopians, those Kenyans. What are they doing that makes them such good runners? And that's when I found out that one of the things that they do is they're following a whole food plant-based diet, what you guys just ate tonight. That type of diet is what they're doing. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to try it out. Let's see what happens if I switch my diet. And sure enough, I started becoming so fast, I started getting sometimes some first places in my town. I could see in my times how they were improving dramatically. And not only that, it was my best semester on my undergraduate. Every single subject that I took, it was top notes, top notes, top notes. So I finished my bachelor's and I applied for a master's in computer science. They liked my profile and they gave me a full scholarship to study my master's. But while I was waiting to start my master's degree, I went and visited for the first time what is called a lifestyle center. Lifestyle center is a place in which you can go there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they'll feed you food just like the one that you had today. They'll put you to do exercise. They'll give you massage, hydrotherapy, and all these good interventions. There's actually one close by here. It's called Cedar Vale. Just Google it if you're interested in going to a place like this. And I have never heard of such place. So when I got there, the doctor in charge of the institution, hears that I know about computers. I had just graduated with my bachelor's degree. And he was like, I have many computer problems. Could you help me the weekend that you are here visiting? And I told him, yeah, sure, I'll be happy to help you. In 1 weekend, I fixed most of his major computer problems. He was so impressed, he offered me a job on the spot. And to me, this was confusing. I'm supposed to start my master's degree. He is inviting me to join his staff. What am I going to do? I decided not to do my master's and rather join this institution, and my life changed completely. When I saw with my own eyes how diabetes was being reversed, hypertension, autoimmune conditions, multiple psychiatric conditions, obesity, and all kinds of things were getting better, I said to myself, you know what? Computers are nice, but this is what I need to do with my life. And that's when the desire to go into medical school, which later on happened, came up. Now, the interesting thing is that this happened 30 years ago. And just 4 weeks ago, there was a race in town, and I went ahead and ran that race. And I won the first place in the race. I mean, I'm not supposed to do that at my age, Yet, the reason why I'm telling you this story is that this is related to inflammation. See, there are friends of mine in which we study together. They've been multiple times already to the hospital. They take all kinds of medications and so forth. What's the difference? I mean, we have the same age. The difference lies in that concept by the name of inflammation. So that's why that is such an important concept to understand, because inflammation is what's going to determine, in many cases, how long you're going to live. What quality of life you will have is determined on that inflammation. One of the main founders of the understanding of inflammation is Rudolf Virchow. Notice what he said. If I could live my life over again, I would devote it to proving that germs seek their natural habitat, which is diseased tissue, rather than being the cause of diseased tissue. For example, mosquitoes seek stagnant water, but do not cause the pool to become stagnant. And there's a lot of truth into this. See, when the body is strong and healthy, the probability of diseases and infectious disease is decreased. The person that is weak and diseased, that's the one that has the highest risk. And that is related to that concept of inflammation. So it's interesting that when we put things into perspective, we really start seeing where are things. For example, would you rather die in 20 years without pain or regrets? Or would you rather die in 30 years with immense pain and regrets in the last several years? That is something that we need to consider. And this is related to inflammation. Because if inflammation is present in our lives, then disease comes, chronic disease presents, and that secondarily starts giving us a poor quality of life. So that's why, as we understand this concept, we can learn what we can do. So let me show you this little clip. This is from Canada. Who would you rather be? Would you rather have energy to move and do whatever you want? Would you rather spend your time sick in a hospital? Would you rather go and continue pursuing your hobbies and so forth? Or were you going to be completely dependent on others for your needs and so forth? Would you rather be energetic and continue to enjoy your great and great-great-grandchildren? Or would you rather be somebody sick? So that's the reality of inflammation. So what's going to determine which side we go? Inflammation will determine that. So can we slow down aging? What do we mean by aging? We all want to live longer, but we want to live longer and healthier, isn't it? It's not about how many years, but how many good years. That is the name of the game. So the next 20 years, how do you envision yourself? You want to keep up with your grandchildren? You want to continue to do some traveling? Or would you rather be in a nursing home? Where do you want to be? And that is determined by inflammation. So this process of inflammation is the source of most disease. And if we can understand this concept of inflammation, we can become aware where this is coming, and in that way, we can have an effect. So modern medicine is making us live longer. There's no question about it. But we're also sicker as ever as society. And this doesn't necessarily need to be. So this is a picture that is doing rounds on the internet. It's a picture of a beach in the 1970s. How many people with problems of their weight do you see in that picture? There was a big change that happened somewhere there around the 1980s that started affecting worldwide and started bringing a big wave of disease. So we have two important concepts. We have what is called the health span. So health span is how many years of health you will be having in your life. In contrast with the concept of lifespan, that is just how long you will live, period. Now, the name of the game and what we want to accomplish is that we want to expand that health span as long as possible so that we can have a good quality aging. Instead of what we saw in the video, spending that time in nursing homes and so forth. So, is that determined by luck? Not necessarily. In many instances, the choices that we are taking are determining the direction that we're going to be taking. Are we inviting inflammation in our lives or not? So, one of the key players in this concept of inflammation is something by the name of zombie cells, or scientifically, if you want to find it in the literature, you're going to find them under the name of senescent cells. So think about these cells this way. It's like when you have that bowl of fruits, and then you have a bad apple. What's going to happen if you don't take away that bad apple? the whole thing is going to get ruined, isn't it? That's the perfect analogy for inflammation. See, the way that we are living, the choices that we are taking, sometimes they promote the creation of these zombie cells in our body. See, cells usually have a certain lifespan. After, for example, 20 days, the cell is supposed to die. After 6 months, the cell is supposed to die. Some, a few years, and it's supposed to die. But by the lifestyle that we have, sometimes we promote the creation of these zombie cells. They come to their expiration date, but they don't want to die. And they stay in our body, these zombie cells, and they're just like this rotten apple. They start affecting the cells that are around them, aging them, affecting them, and sometimes converting other zombie cells together with them. And this starts to create a cascade effect that things get worse and worse and worse and worse. That's why I'm very happy you guys are here today. Because as you become aware of this concept, you will see that we can do something about it. There's certain behaviors we can do to try to eliminate and decrease these zombie cells that may be roaming in our bodies. So this concept of zombie cells, we know that is very much related to multiple diseases. In other words, somebody that is diabetic more likely to produce those zombie cells, especially if they are not well under control. Somebody with fatty liver disease, and those zombie cells can take the body into different directions, such as cancer, such as sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is what happens in somebody very elderly. As you have those zombie cells, the zombie cells promote the destruction of your muscles. So that's why the person becomes extremely frail, and the muscle mass starts to disappear, starts to decrease dramatically in those people, secondary to those zombie cells guiding in that direction. So all these things are related to your immune system. Your immune system is supposed to be your friend, your defender, the one that helps stop different processes of disease from happening in your body. But when inflammation is taking place in your body, the immune system that is supposed to be your best friend becomes your worst enemy. And your own immune system, instead of helping you, starts creating atherosclerosis, starts clogging in your arteries, starts changing cells, so you start increasing your risk of cancer and multiple other conditions. So what we have learned quite a bit about aging and inflammation from the epidemic of HIV. See, it's very interesting because, as I mentioned to you, the immune system is very much related to this process of inflammation. And what happens when somebody has HIV? Well, the immune cells start to decrease tremendously. Now, something fascinating we have learned. As the immune system starts going down on HIV, When the person is being treated, today, thank God, we have multiple different medications that are able to help people that have HIV. The immune system starts to go up. But something interesting happened. Those people that have HIV and are being treated by those medications, if the lifestyle of that person with HIV is not good, these people with HIV have even more problems. We're talking about chronic diseases than the average person. And that has to do with the fact that the HIV virus actually creates inflammation. So the foundation for inflammation is there, and then with the medication, we start increasing their immune system. Well, inflammation and the immune system, instead of that immune system being helpful because there's inflammation underlying there, the process of inflammation starts to come in those people, and we start seeing cardiovascular disease at an early age, cancers, liver disease, dementias, and all these other things that sometimes we see in the general population, but we see them at a much earlier age, secondary to the inflammation that that virus is causing. So we know that how much those immune cells have recovered secondary by giving them that medication is how fast that inflammation is taking place. Now, it doesn't mean that somebody that has that HIV virus is destined to this. Well, that's why as they make those positive lifestyle changes, they can actually go against that current in which their body wants to take them. So, inflammation predicts disease. There's no question about it. We can predict how soon many of these diseases happen, not only on the person with HIV, but on the average person. And that's why this is such an important concept to understand. So here in Australia, the latest statistics of what is killing the Australians, we have two charts, one for males and one for females. And if you notice, most of those diseases are directly related to that concept of inflammation. Coronary heart disease, inflammation. Lung disease, caused by inflammation. Dementia, inflammation. Cerebrovascular disease, inflammation. COPD, inflammation. Prostate cancer, inflammation. Colorectal cancer, inflammation. So you can see that inflammation is what caused that problem. And this is not only for males, the same story happens for females. In the chart for females, you find Alzheimer's and dementia caused by inflammation. Coronary heart disease, inflammation. Cerebrovascular disease, inflammation. Lung cancer, inflammation. COPD, inflammation. Breast cancer, inflammation. So can you see the problem here? As inflammation is there, not only aging will happen sooner, disease will happen and start shortening the lives of people. Now, in this very good study that was done in America, if you notice, the causes of death in America are very similar to the causes of death here in Australia. They were starting to ask the question, what caused those deaths? And notice how many of those factors are factors that we can make changes on. In this study, they found out that the most significant risk factor for death in America, number one, what was that? What is it? Diet. Question, can we change our diet? Yes or no? Yes, it's a changeable factor. As I tell my patients, the most dangerous thing you have in your home is called the fork. It's very dangerous, you know. It's either giving you health or it's giving you that inflammation. So watch out what you poke with that fork. Then tobacco use. Can we stop smoking and vaping? Is that possible? Yes, it is. It's possible to stop it. High blood pressure. Can you do something so that your blood pressure is less? Yes, intensive lifestyle interventions. Tomorrow I'll be telling you a little bit more about it. I actually have done research and published on the subject. High body mass index. Can you lower your body weight if you have excess body weight? Is it possible? Yes, it is. Then we have high fasting plasma glucose. Can we lower our fasting glucose? Is that possible? Yes, I actually have done many research projects about that. High total cholesterol. Can we lower our cholesterol? Is that possible? Yes, it is. Let me tell you this story briefly. When I was in medical school, I needed to do a research project to go from 4th semester to 5th semester. I have worked already in some of the lifestyle centers, as I told you at the beginning, before I went to medical school. And I went and talked to my advisor, and I told him, Doctor, what I want to do, I told my advisor, I want to lower cholesterol with diet. You know what he told me? Ramirez, don't waste your time. It's not possible to lower cholesterol with diet. You need medication. Well, after a little back and forth, I told him, look, it's my money. I want to do this. So I finally convinced him, to let me do it. So what I did, I took 35 people, and we tried this diet that you had today. We tried that diet for 2 weeks. We took blood samples the first day, tried the diet, and 2 weeks later, again, took another blood sample. Guess what we found? Every single one of them, their cholesterol came down. In fact, some of them was dramatic, the amount of cholesterol that came down. Even the local newspaper wrote a whole article about it, and so forth. So, yes, I can assure you cholesterol can go down. And then we have kidney, alcohol, air pollution, and physical activity. So can we see where we're going with this? See, we are not just victims, that our destiny is inflammation and there's nothing we can do. No, there are multiple things that we can do to improve and decrease that inflammation. And that is going to be the subject of this weekend. So don't miss the lectures. We're going to be building one after another one as we start to understand what changes we need to start to consider so that we can decrease that inflammation. I mean, this is myself. See, I did this genetic analysis, and in that genetic analysis, it showed that I am in a very high increased risk for type 2 diabetes. But if you go ahead and check my fasting glucose, everything is completely normal. If you check my hemoglobin A1C, which is, the real test there to see how things are going there with insulin resistance, everything is completely normal. So what's wrong? I mean, was the test wrong or something? No, I know the test is accurate because I have many relatives that have type 2 diabetes. But if my lifestyle starts going in the wrong direction, I can assure you I'm going to end up diabetic. But see, the way we live determines which processes in our body we're going to encourage. Are you going to encourage the disease process, or are you going to encourage the health process? It is up to us as we decide what type of habits we are going to have. So we know that this inflammation plays a very important role in multiple diseases. For example, here in the case of cancer, let me tell you how you interpret this. See those brown color? That brown color means there's a lot of inflammation going on there. So as you can see, as the cancer advances, you see more brown and more brown and more brown because of that process of the zombie cells that I was telling you. So the zombie cells start stimulating more zombie cells. Those zombie cells start to encourage the process of cancer to keep on growing. So by stopping that inflammation, we actually decrease dramatically our risk of cancer. So we know very well that inflammation is very much related to all kinds of health problems. And now we can understand that concept. So don't miss the lecture of tomorrow, as we're going to be dwelling into more deep. What is this inflammation? Where is it coming from? And what can we do? So in closing, we know that the process of aging has multiple factors that will be either slowing it down. There's no question about it. All of us are destined, isn't it, to die. But how fast you're going to die, that is tremendously related to how much inflammation is in your body. And as we'll be learning throughout this weekend, even your mind is related to these processes of inflammation. Because many times, if we don't control our thinking, we start creating stress, anxiety, worry, insomnia, and all kinds of things. And that also can start fanning the processes of inflammation in our bodies. So don't miss this weekend. What we need to understand is that as we have changed the way that our ancestors used to live, as we know, the city living, the less exercise, the processed foods, the levels of stress, all those things combined are flaming those fires of inflammation. So thank you so much for coming tonight. I hope to see you every night, and we'll be unpacking this subject little by little. We'll be seeing the practical side of things so we can conquer that process of inflammation. Thank you very much.
So I have a question. Who's on the path of inflammation currently? Dr. Eddie, we know you're not a practicing MD here in Australia, but the wealth of information and the simplicity with which it's presented is so greatly appreciated and so easy to apply as we move forward. When I say easy to apply, I mean the way it's presented. It helps us to simply understand it and then go forward and apply it. I know as a church, we look to God for the wisdom and the strength to carry these things through. And I just want to also make a note that Dr. Eddie's flight was postponed for this weekend. Instead of flying out on Sunday, he'll be flying out on Monday. And he has volunteered to stay and do an extra presentation on Sunday evening as well. So, these are very special presentations. So thank you for being willing to do that for us. We want to get as much out of you as we can while you're here. Did you have another announcement, or you just wanted to mention something?
They have some of my book here, if anybody wants one.
Okay.
They can just see Mr. Joseph.
Thank you. We have some complimentary books from Dr. Eddie called Pandemic Busters. Yeah, so feel free to grab one of those. If he does miss you, you can always grab one on the way out. Do you mind if we just close with a word of prayer and we'll just dismiss you for the evening? Let's pray. Okay. Loving Father, we just want to thank you for the things we are learning. Lord, we are learning things of creation and what's ideal for us. And we so often have fallen away from the ideal, particularly modern society. So help us to go forward and apply these things. And I just pray, Lord, that you dismiss us under your care, see us safely home, and bring us again tomorrow evening as we meet together. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Okay?